As the level, I will restart when the player dies. Here are a few examples of the level restarting over to show that when the player dies, the timer and the stopwatch will start again. As the timer, I count down from 60 seconds, which is the length that the player has to survive to reach the end of the level. If the player dies before the timer reaches 0, the timer will start again. As the stopwatch, I will measure the amount of time the player stayed alive during the level. I will use this information in the future for a scoreboard and save feature. As the crate, I want to supply the player with multiple different choices of weapons. It is my job to spawn randomly in the level after a previous crate is picked up. We had complications with the crate pickup script and I am not sure which one to use. So right now the crates are where they should be, having 2 in the level. The crate spawning script works so well, I actually had to make a different script to destroy the crate if there was already one on the spawn point. I apologize that I am not able to show you the crates being picked up in my prototype.
Hello, I'm Joseph Bonnie at Team Senioritis and making a quick video before I go to work. So I worked on my level. I didn't do much. I ended up working on the original level as well to help the team out a little bit. So I didn't have time to make the timer to finish my level. That's going to be my condition. Like, the more enemies you kill, the more bonuses, whatever you can get, and stuff like that. And that's what. So there's a countdown timer, and it'll count down. And the more enemies you kill, the more points you get, etc. But I did not have time to do that, unfortunately. So my level's not entirely complete, but I did work on the enemy spawn implementation, which I did. So as an enemy spawn, I need to be a location that spawns enemies at random intervals, and introduces them as enemy characters in the scene. So as you can see, I got a couple different random spawn points with enemies, and I made the script so I can put that on a timer, and I also did the health so they can be shot now and killed. So there's that. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I worked on that for my level. And then so I also did the enemy health, which as enemy health I need to keep track of an enemy's max, min, and current health throughout gameplay. As you can see, they have health and they can be destroyed. I can make the bullets different damage. I can put different damage amounts on bullets and different health and max health and everything. It's all adjustable in the inspector. So that's pretty much what I did with that. I also, in the original level, a teammate reached out to me, told me that the crate wasn't working at all, so I tried to get that to work, which I did. I didn't get the random spawn to work, but I did work on the crate and get that to work. So, and the point system. So, hit play. Hit a crate, spawns a weapon. Then you hit another crate, spawns another weapon and deletes the old weapon. So it works, and as you can see, the points up at the top, they're kind of small, but the points are up at the top, so each time I hit a crate, it tacked up a point. But yeah, that's what I worked on. So you can see the point is 0 up there. Zero right here in top center. But ticks up and down every time you pick up a crate. So I have to get the random spawn to work still, or trying to figure that out still. We're working on that still. And that's what I did for Milestone 2. Thank you.
As a level prototype, I need to tie into the core game mechanics and integrate seamlessly into the game and core gameplay. As a portal weapon, I need to shoot a projectile that spawns a portal instantly to escape from danger.
Hello, my name is Cody Borgia with Team Senioritis, and this has been my build for my bonus level for Super Crate Box. It is a runner level that I had developed as opposed to the little platformer that we had in the original game, which also required a ton of programming on my end just to ensure that it was working the way that it needed to for this particular style of game. So let's go ahead and get started. So one of the things that I worked on is the level build, and as a level I want to exist in the game to define map parameters, display important map details, and signal a direction for the player to pursue. Just to kind of show you the vastness of the map here, I did 4 platforms, each platform carrying its own challenges, its own enemy, and things like that. There are also little level hazards in here. There are also just other various, I kind of made it look a little wonky with the platforms just to kind of give it kind of an unorthodox looking, not just an uninteresting flat platformer. I wanted it to really be something a little more dynamic looking. So then the next thing that I had constructed was the player controls. And with the player controls, I'm going to go ahead and hit play here so you can see how it runs. So what he does is he is able to run. He is able to run backwards. He's able to jump. He is able to shoot. So as player controls, I want to exist as a way for the player to control the behaviors that have been programmed into the player character. Which that's so far this is what I have. I have been developing the player a little bit more as I've been going on, adding new features, things like that. So it is a work in progress. As far as the enemies are concerned, I did have these enemies become stationary as opposed to the original game having them spawn into scene. The reason for this is because I wanted a progressive level of difficulty for each platform that the player was on, and so I didn't want to randomize a specific type of player spawn or anything. It just didn't make sense for what I was trying to do for this particular project. So what I did instead was I placed the enemies in scene, and as enemy behavior, I want the enemies to act as variants to the main class of enemies with small changes to the way they pursue an attack. These enemies are very much different from the original game enemies because they use animation, and they also have an angry state as opposed to the other ones, which they used gravity and bounced off of the walls, and it was just coincidental in the fact that the player collided with the enemy. In this one, the enemy actually does attack you, which I will show now. And you can see he gets angry when he sees me. And that goes with all of the enemies. The one enemy that I did make differently, and I am going to address on this as well, is the boss character. Now, the boss character is a larger character. He's much more formidable, and he actually has his own type of animation that I'm working on right now. Basically, what he does, what he is going to do, is a Bowser jump. And he's going to power slam onto the character. Now, the issue that I'm having with it right now is just the collider for the detection is affecting it in a weird way, to where he is picking up on the character way before he even hits the platform. So I'm doing some adjustments with that right now. So then the next thing that I am working on here is the life and death events, which you have already seen some of them. But as death, I want to kill a game object that has a health system attached to it upon the health of the object reaching 0. This would include the player as well. So I have a health system for both the enemy and the players in here. With the enemies, I fire, and he dies, and you can see a death event with the particle system. The next thing you can see is the player gets damaged by the hazards. Now, another thing that he does is he will get damaged by the enemy as well. And this will go for any of the enemies in scene, and he does die. So then the next part that I have worked on was the pickups themselves, which you previously saw. So as pickups, I want to exist in scene and be able to be picked up and applied to any of the objects that are attached to the player that are corresponding with that pickup. So what you can see in here, and I did it in 2 different ways. I did it so that the enemy picks up, or enemy drops the pickup when they die, but I have also established pickups in scene. So you can see it spawns when he dies, and then I also have one just sitting here. I've made 2 different types too, and they affect the bars the same way. So you can see I'm depleting my ammunition right now, and then I picked it up, and now I have full ammo. So the next thing that I worked on was I designed a mind control weapon. Currently, I don't have that in scene yet because that is going to apply to the main game. But I do want to show you that I did create a cool little weapon here. It's pretty futuristic looking, and so as a mind control weapon, I want to portray a weapon of somewhat futuristic properties. I also want corresponding noises and particles that will create more of an experience for the player. Once the weapon is out of ammunition, the weapon will no longer be in use. So that is something that I've been working on. I also have a projectile that we are going to launch as well. This projectile is going to basically, the way that I'm designing it is going to hit the target and then take over the target's mentality to head towards the closest crate in the main game, take that weapon, and then turn on his friends for a period of time, and then he destroys himself. So as a mind control projectile, I want to take an enemy out of their current state and possess them to pursue the closest crate. Upon pickup, the enemy will then take that weapon and turn on their fellow colleagues. Once the weapon is out of ammunition, the enemy character will kill itself. some of the other things that you've seen that I've had, I have shooting in there, I have particle systems in there. As particle systems, I want to add to the effect of various events that happen in the scene. I also have some sound and some sound effects that are in there as well. I have shoot, jump, things like that. And as sound and visual effects, I want to create a more dynamic and interactive experience by applying my effects in dynamic and immersive situations. And then lastly was the one thing that I still haven't quite gotten to yet. This is the one thing that I still have to address is my win condition and advanced UI, which, GUI, which I do have blood splatter on there and things like that, but I do want to create a game over scene and then have it switch over to our official game over scene. And as for a win condition, that is something that is going with the boss character, and the boss, upon his death, is going to trigger a win condition for the player, which is going to bring over the mind control weapon to the main game. So this has been my presentation.